In the last presentation, we looked at the step of defining biodiversity focal interests, the habitats, ecosystems, and species that you are trying to conserve or restore. In this step, your team can consider adding ecosystem services and human well-being interests. Functioning ecosystem species and habitats provide ecosystem services that can benefit humans. These are represented by the orange boxes to the right of the green program scope box and connected by arrows coming out of the relevant biodiversity focal interests. In our example, ecosystem services include the availability of fish for harvesting over the long term, water available for human use, water filtration services, and availability of scenic resources or wildlife viewing. For more information about ecosystem services, see page 4 of USAID's Biodiversity Policy. You may also want to explicitly identify those aspects of human well-being that could plausibly be affected by the ecosystem services provided by your biodiversity focal interests. These are represented by the brown ovals in this diagram and might include aspects such as resource-based livelihoods, physical and spiritual health, food security, and safety from natural disasters. Adding ecosystem services and human well-being interests can help your team justify and communicate how your biodiversity program could have a long-term impact on USAID's ultimate beneficiaries, the people within your host country. And as previously mentioned, these situation model components have an increased role in integrated biodiversity programming. However, for time efficiency reasons, we recommend that you do not spend a lot of your design team's time on identifying ecosystem services and human well-being interests, as your biodiversity program will ultimately be focused on conserving the biodiversity focal interests as your endpoint. Programming will focus on the left side of your situation model, reducing threats and influencing drivers that ultimately affect those biodiversity focal interests. These are elements that we will develop in further detail in the next section of this interactive how-to guide. The whole design team can discuss and develop a draft, and a subgroup can finalize it at a later time. This will save the limited time you have with your whole design team for the more complex and time-consuming steps. In the next presentation, we will define and rate the direct threats that are impacting your biodiversity focal interests and other interests.